Yes, it is. And
Attention, everybody. The views and opinions expressed on this show are not necessarily those of Acts Ministry, Acts Media Group, and or their affiliate and subordinate ministries and a nonprofit. Some of this content may be adult in nature, so please use discretion while watching with kids.
Okay, now we're going to hear the real vibe.
Now it's in stereo.
Yeah. Yesterday it was hardly.
Yesterday was Sunday.
Good morning! Coming to you live from Acts Media Group headquarters here in beautiful Springfield, Missouri. It's the Morning Drive. Matt and Jay with your hosts, Matt and Jay and Steve. Well, Jay's not here, so it's Matt and Steve.
Amen.
And Johnny Rooster is filling in today. All right. Wait, I gotta wait for them. I gotta wait for the hook. It's the way you pull my heart to you. I am yours forevermore. You have closed the door. Who I was before, and I see for the first time all I'm meant to be. And I feel. All right. So good morning, top of the morning to you, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Drive. My name is Matt.
My name is Steve.
Johnny Rooster.
Johnny Rooster is in the house with us today.
The Irish.
We could talk like this the rest of the day.
Oh, man.
I don't know if that's Irish or Scottish or what it is.
It's in between.
It's an honor to be here today. Thanks for having me on your show.
It's a honor.
I know Mr. J is on getting ready to ride.
He's getting ready to roll on the road. He wants to be out of town by noon.
He's on two wheels.
He's on dos wheels, and he's packed and unpacked his bags like 10, 15 times.
Oh, I'm sure he
He
has.
likes that meticulous.
Oh,
I
well,
thought-
we were just talking about people with obsessive natures and not compulsive, but
just
obsessive.
Very specific.
Yeah. So, be sure you get on your phones, you like and share this with your
Please
friends.
do.
Like and share the Dickens out of it.
The Dickens.
The Dickens.
We
I
try to
haven't heard
keep
that in a
ours
while.
Dickens free, but sometimes that's just not entirely possible. I did turn the volume up from the computer to the board so that way you guys can hear us better.
You guys can pretty much, my ears are bleeding right now.
Oh, do you want me to turn
Pretty
your
loud.
headphones down?
It's pretty loud,
I
but
could turn-
I
yeah.
could live with it.
I'm fine with it. I'm maybe it's
We tried
because
to
I'm
do
used
So
to it.
we're looking at A Hero Comes Along. Remember
Let
that
me
song?
turn your headphones down.
And then a hero comes along.
Long with
So
the
who sang that one?
to wear a thong.
Celine Dion? Or was that, no, who was that?
That was.
Because I'm thinking of We Need a Hero.
Yeah, Bonnie Tyler.
Bonnie Tyler. We need a hero. And that was a good anthem. Yeah, thank you. Much better.
Then there's the American hero.
Oh, the greatest American hero.
The greatest American hero.
Believe it or
I'm-
not, I'm walking on air.
Because I'm deaf.
Okay.
You know.
Huh?
Huh?
I knew
So
that
a
was gonna
hero
happen.
comes along. There's some real world hero
Morning, Steve
stories
Schultz.
that are amazing.
Larry Melton,
In fact,
Velma.
There's stuff you're going to hear
Jana.
about that we can talk about, but these true stories of true heroes in the real world. So as you guys are settling in, greeting people as you do, may I start with a story?
Yeah, start with this story.
A rampaging bear, a deadly fire, a murderous gunman, and more. How we find the courage to step up when facing life or death.
Good morning, Susan Burrows.
Okay?
Yes.
So facing life or death. That's why heroes are heroes. These are real world heroes. I thought about superheroes. They're really overrated because they're not real, but these people are. So first story is about Donnie Navidad.
Is he related to Feliz Navidad?
He's 61. A 61-year-old man in 2013 saved a woman who toppled from a football stadium in Oakland, California. My friend and I were
From a
at
falling football stadium?
We're at the Coliseum to see the Raiders play the Tennessee Titans. After the game, as we were heading out, someone's phone fell and smashed near us, and then a bunch of people started pointing up. There was a woman up there on the ledge of the edge of the railing, and I turned to my friend and said, "Do you think she's going to jump?" And he said, "Oh boy, she's falling as we speak." It's about a 4-story drop from where she fell, and without thinking, I just put my arms out, and as she came toward me, listen, I was in the Marines, and even though that was 40-some years ago, I still think like a Marine. Fortunately, I still react like one once in a while. She leveled out flat as she hit my arms and bounced off me and fell about 4 feet away. I fell to the ground, too, from the impact, and I blacked out for a minute. When I came to, my friend was holding up fingers and saying, "How many do you see?"
I was Cody Jackson.
I was okay. Then the woman was alive, but she was in a coma for a while with brain surgery. She later told me she was very grateful. They call her the Miracle Girl. But what bothered me was that I didn't do a better job saving her. I really couldn't latch on to her. But his friend says, Donnie's seen a lot of stuff, and that doesn't scare him. Many people would turn away when they see 100 pounds dropping on them, but he just saved her life.
Nice.
So that was a true story from 2013 about a 61-year-old man who took action and instincts took over. Sometimes you can call him a hero, but isn't it just reacting to a situation in a really strong way?
That is, okay, so, and that is one thing that's one thing that, like, you never know how you're going to react in a situation until you're required to react in that situation. Now, I say this because as a person who carries a firearm all the time, you never know how you're going to react when you think you might have to use it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I've told this story before. I was walking into a particular gas station, one that I haven't been at. I hadn't taken that way in years. And I forgot to get, this is back when I smoked. I forgot to get cigarettes from my normal gas station. I was standing outside that gas station. I could turn around and went back in. For some reason, I was like, I'll just go to that one over on National. And I walk over there. And just as I walk in, there's a lady counting her drawer down right on the edge of the counter. Mm-hmm. And then there's another lady there, and they're yelling at this guy who was obviously psychologically not all there, walking around with a big knife in his hand, saying, "Sir, I told you to put the blade away." And he was obviously on something psychologically. He was messed up.
Wow.
And my heart slowed down.
Yeah.
I had my mind cleared. I had the clarity of thought to unsnap. Yeah. I didn't draw it, but I was ready to. Mm-hmm. And I had my hand resting on it, ready, because I knew it was chambered. I always carry them chambered. Okay. And I was praying to God, give me the strength to do what I have to do to protect these people.
Right.
I pray to God I never have to draw it in defense against a human being or an animal. I love life. I value life. Yeah. Above all else besides God, I value life.
So there you were. What
there
happened?
I was. He came around the corner like he was walking towards, and I stood between him and the lady counting the drawer.
Right.
I didn't realize that at the time, but then he came around the corner and saw my hand on my pistol. I had my fingers out so that, I didn't want to pull the trigger in my waist. That would have been bad. But I had my fingers out, but resting on the hilt, if you will, the grip of the gun. And he saw my hand. He looked at me, saw my hand. He says, "I'll do what I want to do." And he decided it would be a good idea to leave. And he left. Well, come to find out, 2 days later, or 2 days before, a store right down the street got robbed at knife point. After he left, then I started freaking out. So you never know what you're going to do or how you're going to react in any situation.
In the moment.
Yeah. So that's my fun experience.
What about that, Steve? You got any stories like that?
Well, I wasn't the hero this time in this. My nephew was, and he, little scrawny little guy. I mean, bless his heart. We was in the lake, and I don't know what happened. It happened so long ago. I was a kid, and for some reason, I felt myself starting to go down underneath the water, and I kind of yelled. I said, "Hey, Dave, I think I'm sinking." And he actually grabbed me, put his arm around me, and in the middle of the lake and pulled me to shore. But he swam, I would say, almost 300-400 feet and carried me. And I was older. I'm 4 years older than he was. And he dragged me as a, let's see, I might have been.
Morning, Nick.
Anyway, he pulled me to safety, and I said,
Velma.
"Thank you, Dave. You saved my life." Well, later on in years, he became a SEAL.
Wow.
And he did all kinds of really weird things. And I thought, man, you think what do you do? Well, you never know what's going to happen to me when I grow up. I want to grow up and be able to save people.
Well, that's impressive. Definitely.
He did save people. He was a SEAL during the war.
Do you think some people are born heroes? We're talking about along comes a hero comes along, and what people do. Are there some people naturally more heroic than others?
Yeah. Good morning, Nick.
I think it's. That
situation happens. What do we do?
I think it's. I think it's whatever God chooses for that person.
I think in that moment, anything could happen. In a certain moment. We talked about a gentleman that saved a woman falling from a coliseum 4 stories. Most people wouldn't do that. It's not natural to stand under a falling object like that. She would have splatted and died. He saved her life.
Yeah.
He was 61. Another one here is about a 69-year-old. So these aren't young people. And this is also in 2013. William Ayoade battled a polar bear,
which is one of the most violent bears
savagely
in the world,
mauling a woman in Manitoba, Canada. So it was 5 a.m. when he heard someone screaming, "Help, it's a bear!" I opened my front door, and there was a 275-pound polar bear sitting on its haunches with a woman in his mouth, waving her around like a rag doll. Now, he thought to himself, I've got no weapon or anything. Then I saw my shovel sitting there and found myself going to get it. Once I picked it up, I thought, well, what am I going to do with this thing? Is that woman going to die? So down the steps I went. Thank you will never be enough, she says. Her name's Erin Green. He gave me life. It's the most remarkable thing a person can do, risk his life for another human being, a stranger. So he says, when he got there, he stepped up to hit the bear in the eye. I'd heard this is the best way to fight a bear. He let go of the woman, so she ran into my house. The bear reached out and grabbed a hold of me, and the mauling was on. He tore off my right ear, and I was waiting for him to bite me again. A neighbor fired a shotgun, but it didn't do any good, so he jumped into his truck and gunned it toward us. I was on my belly, on the ground, watching his vehicle speeding our way, and it stopped about 2 feet away before the bear finally let me go. I spent 7 days in the hospital. They worked on me for 4 hours one day to staple my wounds, and then 4 hours the next, putting my ear back on. I came out of it pretty good. I never saw myself as a hero, and I still don't. And this is what I want you guys to realize. He doesn't see himself as a hero. You're dealt a situation, he says, and you either respond or you don't. People will say, well, would you have done anything differently? Well, I don't have the faintest idea. The only thing I could think of is if I don't do something, she's not going to make it. It's not about thinking about it. You just do it.
You just do it.
Yeah.
That's
Laura Alford, hey.
Yeah.
That's what my nephew did. He just
respond.
How you feeling?
And I said, you saved my life. And he goes, I would have done that for anybody, but especially you.
Yeah.
And he, even being in the Navy, he never liked people saluting him. He goes, I'm just a human being.
Yeah, he didn't want the extra
right.
credit.
Yep.
But he wasn't just a human being, was he?
No.
I mean, he was an extraordinary human being.
Right.
He is a human being that God empowered
Definitely.
to do
Very specific.
what he needed to do by giving him the courage and the wisdom and the solidarity and calmness to be able to do what it is they do.
One thing I'm aware of as I'm on this show, Morning Drive, is how much fun it is to watch Morning Drive as a viewer. And there are probably viewers watching now. Do they have something that they're wanting to say? They're saying good morning.
Well, no, right now it's all good morning. Susan Burrows says a hero comes along every day to save us. Jesus is the greatest hero we have. I agree with that 100%.
Thank you, Susan.
Because he gave his life. He gave his life and every drop of blood that he had for us. So I'm with that. Jana Hale says good morning. Larry Melton says,
I'm a hero.
I'm a hero. And he's so humble.
I'm not laughing
so
at you,
humble.
Larry.
Yeah, we are.
see Larry in his Speedo and his cape. And
Oh, man.
And then there's Captain Underpants.
You got to meet Larry. You'll love Larry. Larry is one of the stewards of our church, and he's so funny.
He's phenomenal.
Larry, how are you hearing it today? I did some adjustments to make sure that you hear, because he's how we gauge if people can hear us or not.
I'm glad because he's not listening in Dolby, nor am I. And if you're not listening in Dolby, you can't hear it as well.
Yeah, well, and that's true. But
True story.
I'm going to try something here. Today, we talk about heroes.
Okay, what was that? Just to test the audio?
Yeah, that
Sounds
was just
cool.
a sound effect. I got all
It almost sounds like a news item.
Like if we
Talking
want to
about heroes.
we want to talk about, boy, I remember this one time.
You need the green screen on that.
We do. We do
should've
need
had
the
a
green
big-
screen.
Like when the bear story comes up, you need a polar bear.
It walks right up into the screen.
Okay, so you got another guy who's 65. Remember, the guy that rescued the woman from the polar bear was 69.
Right.
This one was 65 years old. Back in 2007, he rescued a swimmer in Florida. Do you have any shark music or Jaws?
No.
That's mine.
Oh yeah, that is yours.
Johnny Rooster.
Here's the suspense. Let's see what this
Okay,
does.
do that while I'm reading. Will it loop? It was
That sounds like Jaws music.
It was a gorgeous morning on Cocoa Beach. I've been there. When these green-black clouds rolled in and the water got very choppy, I'm a photographer and was staring at what was almost an artistic scene. Suddenly, this guy on the beach starts yelling, my wife, she's in the ocean and can't get out." I was born and raised by the sea in my country, Albania. So he's an Albanian. And we used to go to the beach almost all summer, every day for hours and hours. In other words, I know how tides work from a lifetime of swimming in them. This was a rip current, which meant the tide takes you out fast and fights you from coming back in. Another man I'd never met before, a great big guy around 50 years old, jumped into the water with me and swam straight to the lady. We got right out there. I knew from getting caught in a tide like this when I was 13 or 14 that if you have to swim back at an angle, not directly toward the shore, because it's so hard to swim against the tide. But it was still hard to do. So this was a terrible experience. Hang on.
What was that?
There's a glare. Somebody died, but somebody was saved.
Who's
Yeah,
here?
I've got a guest.
Oh, is that your guest?
We told the lady she was in her late 60s, so here's somebody else in her late 60s. This is not a young people. To swim next to us, stay calm, follow me, and press my shoulder if she needed help. It's kind of like your story, Steve. It's kind of like a swim rescue. You don't want someone hanging on you. They can pull you under when they're afraid of drowning. But she was swimming okay. Meanwhile, the ocean was getting rougher and rougher. The woman and I swam at an angle to the shore, but the other man got separated from us. We couldn't see him. This was the worst part. By the time the rescue team got to him, it was too late. The man died trying to save a woman he never met.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So this rescuer rescued her, and the other one died in the effort.
Wow. Yeah, here's the other
So he
hero.
says that experience really changed him. The man who drowned was father of 2 kids.
Oh, man.
For a long time, I just couldn't get his death out of my head. And at the same time, the woman's alive. We've become friends, and it reminds me every day to be optimistic about life, especially to try to do good things with the brief time we have, to be a good person. That's really cool. It's a real-world story.
Yeah.
And a tragic...
It's like, man, you never really know.
Reminded you of something, Steve?
Yeah, it reminded me of another hero. But first, Steve Schultz said our doctors and nurses and policemen, military are heroes.
Yeah.
Yep, they sure are, Steve. It reminded me, Rachel, my wife, was a hero. And
She saved your life, right?
Yeah, she saved my life a couple times where I had a seizure so bad that I did stop breathing, and Rachel twice, I would say within a few months span, saved my life. She didn't do mouth to mouth, but I was trying to remember exactly how she did. Anyway, I know that she saved my life. According to the paramedics, she had saved my life. So that's what I'm going by, and I believe that. So right now, I think she's my hero. My hero's been with me for 25 years. So
Yes. We're live. Sorry.
Somebody making too much racket.
I just I can hear them in my headphones. Maybe Mrs. Rooster. Well, we can go close the door.
Mrs. Rooster.
Yeah, please come close the door. Anyways, so yes, especially during this pandemic, that's what Andrea Rooster says. In response to the doctors and nurses and policemen and military are
Go
heroes.
that direction. The audience is leading us. and I like that.
Yeah.
They want to talk about these heroes among us.
Yeah, and
Andrea, can you shut that door, please?
Firemen also.
Yes, the firemen, the policemen, the paramedics, the nurses, doctors.
yeah,
They're called rescue workers,
yeah,
emergency services.
yeah, and we need them.
Here's one thing that we don't talk about: 911 dispatch.
Oh yeah,
Extremely important.
oh yeah, yeah. They are very
They are
important.
definitely heroes.
Now I mean, they're the first line. They're the first person you talk to in an emergency.
They might not get a coherent, intelligible message, and they're still trying to save lives.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, and they're good at that. I mean, their job is to calm down the situation, and the last time I had to call them, which was when Barney had collapsed on the floor, and the lady made sure she stayed on the line with me until the paramedic got there. Just to make sure I stayed calm and everybody stayed calm. We also checked his breathing and stuff like that. I'm super thankful for people like that. They did the same thing whenever I had to call an ambulance for Dad the first time. They're like, okay, I'm going to stay on the phone with you until the ambulance gets there. And then was just talking to me like the whole time, like trying to make sure I wasn't freaking out. And I mean, even that, it's...
How do we thank people like that properly? It's hard to know. There's signs that they put up. We love our everyday heroes. Heroes are essential. They're referring to the emergency services. So I know a lot of recognition's been given them this past year, specifically, but it's still really hard to imagine a culture that's disregarding police. That's just my opinion. It was awful that people would pull away, call for defunding police, things like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't at all.
But
Not
those
even a
people
little
are in place to protect us.
bit. Yeah. They put their lives on the line every day.
Actually,
Every day.
I actually saved somebody from suicide back when I was in high school.
Wow.
And they called me, and they told me that they were getting ready to kill themselves by pills. It wasn't, I mean, suicide is suicide. It doesn't matter what you're doing. And I just said, well, you need Jesus, actually.
You said that in high school. Let's get back to that after our break.
Yeah. But,
That's a cliffhanger. I want to hear more about that.
Yeah.
Hang on for the break.
Hang on for the break, folks. I
Those
am...
levels. That's what Jay does a lot now. What's your favorite time of year?
Spring and fall, and everything's blooming. And then you got the fall changing colors.
Yeah.
Everything's coming alive. So that's the time I really enjoy it. Now the 95+ degree weather, just like everybody else, not my most favorite.
No.
Getting a little older, a little harder to take.
My favorite Disney movie is The Little Mermaid. I have to tell my cousin that my favorite Disney movie is Sleeping Beauty because we grew up watching it, but it's really The Little Mermaid.
What's something that you would hope that your customers say about you?
I think the biggest thing I hope for them is that they would say that I care. I want them to leave feeling like that that they are heard and that they are cared for, and to know that whenever they need help in the future, that I'm going to be there to care for them again.
I work for Health Markets Insurance Agency, and we are a insurance distribution company. So what that means is I have several different companies that I'm associated with. So I can do all the shopping around. I don't have one product or one company that I have to sell. I have many. So what we do, we just go through and do the fact finding, get to know you, see what's best fit for you, and stay within your budget. I do all the work for you. I don't charge a fee for my services. So if you decide you don't want anything I've got to sell you, that's okay. I'm not looking to make a sale. I'm looking to have a new client.
Good thing I'm made out of plastic, or that would have hurt.
Hey dear, let's go get some new Formica countertops from Kitchenland USA. They look great, just like wood finish.
Formica? Oh, that's tacky. I remember that when I was growing up.
Well, let's see what Brad Schrock says. He's the owner of Kitchenland
This is one of my
USA.
favorite
He should know.
commercials.
You must unlearn what you have learned.
Oh, all right, I'll give it a try.
No. Try not. Do. Or do not. There is no try.
All right, we're back.
That was the kitchen Yoda.
That's,
I like the also when it's like, I would have heard if I wasn't made out of plastic.
yeah, that's.
That's some Johnny Rooster nuttery.
It's like, it's like, what in the world? This baby doll's just falling off the deal.
We just got another sponsor or partner with our advertising. Stained Glass Theater is our newest, so we can congratulate Stained Glass Theater for being part of supporting our ministry.
Stained Glass Theater.
They're a live,
I seem to remember.
There's a live theater down in Ozark, Missouri, and they've been going many years. I remember watching them back in a pizza place on Battlefield Road in 1982.
When I was
83,
2 years old, you remember
83.
back
that was
when I
the
was
first year. They opened in 83.
I was 3 years old.
3 years old. That's the year I graduated high school, young man.
I kind of looked like a
I
baby.
graduated the same year.
'Cause I was a
83?
toddler.
No,
I was a little
Oh, it was
hellaciously bad toddler.
Okay.
ADHD like crazy. I mean, I
You can
was
imagine.
just
Kid drinking root beer and
nuts. My
from the
grandma
bottle-
used to make my
Mountain
mom
Dew
mad.
out of the bottle.
She'd always send us home with goodie bags.
Yeah,
And that's
sugar.
baggies full of sweets.
You were a big boy.
Yeah.
Amen.
No,
No,
when
you
I was a
weren't a big
kid.
boy.
No, I didn't actually start getting large until I was probably like 13, 14 years old.
Well, we left this great story, and it was meaningful. A suicide in high school. A guy wants to overdose on pills.
yeah.
And you just come out and say you need Jesus?
Yes.
I mean, you're in a public high school, right?
Yes.
And there's 1980-something, 81,
Yeah.
because you graduated in 82?
Right.
All
It
right.
was 80. I think it was 1980.
Man, that takes guts.
Yeah. Well, I was on. I just rededicated myself to the
I
Lord.
remember how awkward I felt sharing Jesus with friends at that age. Wow.
I didn't do that necessarily. I don't know.
But I think there was just that moment.
Yeah, it was because I don't remember ever doing that in high school. I mean, they knew a lot of my friends were Christians already, but they were quiet. And I just said, you know what, you need Jesus.
Yeah.
Because I knew he wasn't a Christian.
And did he respond?
Yes, he as far as I know now, he is alive. And I haven't heard from him for a little bit, so I don't know where he's at right now. But I do know that at that moment, he ended up.
You never know what kind of effect you'll have on somebody's life.
Because he watched me.
Loud.
He knew
Is it?
I was a Christian.
No, not to
No?
me.
Okay.
And he knew I was a Christian, and
I,
so he didn't really come right out and say,
I'm about
"I
the
need
same.
Jesus." I
I'm
did
looking
that
at the
for him.
meter.
He's talking when you're talking. You're doing something really meaningful. He's like, I'm checking the mic level. Because I kind of, I'm watching.
Now
the
I
meter.
know where I stand.
You got me watching the meter.
Now I know where I stand, folks.
Actually, your story brings us to the realization that all of us can act in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
A hero rescues somebody from their own demise.
Yeah.
Then a hero comes along.
Is that what we said? Is it and a hero or then? We put then. Yeah, then
Then a hero comes along.
And we need a hero. And those are the two songs.
Did you ever know that you're my hero?
Oh, yeah.
And
Wind
everything
beneath my
I would
wings.
like to
Yeah,
be.
I remember that. That kind of started irritating me back in the day when it was popular, because it was so popular, it got to be too much every time you turn on the radio.
It was
Remember
like,
that,
okay,
Steve?
and now the number one song of the
It's
week.
like, okay, thank you for that.
Or the top 20
It
countdown.
was so emotional, but then after a while, you're just getting tired of it's too much.
Especially on the top 20 countdown, you hear it like...
Because it's not a cool song. It's just a really emotional song. It's like,
Right.
I'm not jamming to this. This is just really...
Or you get in that moment where you hear it and all of a sudden you find yourself driving and all of a sudden the tears start flowing. It's like, wait a minute,
you know
I'm
what?
driving.
I'm trying to just kind of get entertained here, and I'm not.
I'm driving and I'm shedding tears. I better be careful.
Don't put those on the top 10.
Nope. Don't want to do that. So yeah, that's.
Thank you.
I'm just. What for? What?
Thank you for being a hero here, because every day, I'm not kidding, every day for years when nobody's caring and they're all complaining, you're still putting together the stuff and learning.
Yeah.
Even today,
It's
you
all.
learn. So.
It's every day's a learning experience.
Yeah, and we didn't have to provide this experience for an audience, but you chose to do that. You and this ministry have decided, yes, we're
Yeah.
going to provide this.
Well, that's because I have to stay busy, so I stay out of trouble.
But you're also doing something constructive,
Mm-hmm.
not just staying busy. This isn't busy work.
No,
This
it's
is
not
This
busy.
is
really-
definitely ministry.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's effective.
Yeah.
You got a morning drive thing going, and people are watching, listening, commenting. I wanted to tell you about Bud Garvey. This guy's 76. The heroes just get older. And these real world stories we've been sharing. And at 76, he rescued a man from a fiery wreck. I own a race car museum 82 miles from where I live. My wife and I go there go up every Saturday. One morning, he's 76. We were buzzing along the interstate when I saw smoke. There was a fire in the ditch, and I said to my wife, it looks like a car burning. I got out, scrambled down. There was a fella sitting in the middle of a burning car. The woods were on fire, flames all over the front of the vehicle. I hollered at him to come on out. He very calmly said, I can't. The way he said it was eerie. I knew I was his only hope. I tried the door. It was jammed. But then the front tire blew out and sent me flying backward into the brush. I staggered to the car and saw the guy losing consciousness. The fire was going to town. I crawled in the window and braced my feet against the door, got hold of him under his arms, and he came out halfway but was still stuck. I rolled him on his side, and whatever was holding him broke loose. I was still in pretty good shape at 76, dragged him up the hill to the road. My wife is a retired RN, and she kept him calm until the state police came. I used to drive race cars. As an amateur pilot, I was in 2 airplane crashes. One time I landed in a tree and had to climb out. So if you can say this was instinct based on lifetime experience, but mostly I knew I couldn't leave this man who turned out to have a couple young kids. I couldn't leave him there to burn. And so many people would just be panicked and they wouldn't know what to do. They'd call 911 and the guy would die.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's when that's definitely something that you don't know how you're going to react.
Yeah,
all.
somebody's dad was in that car,
Yeah.
and he lived to be their
That's
dad.
huge. And thank you, Nick. I enjoyed having you there in the youth group. He said that I enjoyed the youth program at the church you introduced me to. It was really nice, and I did. I introduced him to this the youth program there at church, and
Wow.
Another thing
That's
that's
nice that he
really cool
remembers
that people don't really think about, and that's the people who donate their organs.
Oh, yeah.
And
yes, they're heroes.
I've seen
Save
things.
lives.
I've seen things like the survivor, the person that received like a heart, had a sonogram
Yeah.
taken of the heartbeat
Yeah.
and put in one of those Build-A-Bears and sent to the person whose loved one, like who their child, was the one who donated the heart.
Yeah. Wow.
So they can hear that heartbeat
Man. And remember.
and remember and know that it is their son's heart,
Yes.
and stuff like that.
That's crazy.
Like there was a guy who received a transplant, a heart transplant, and it was an older gentleman because of a younger kid who had died in a car accident or something to that extent. and he met with the boy's dad. I think it was his dad, his mom and dad, and let them put their ear to his heart.
Oh, wow.
And hear it.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, instantly they were close. I mean, that's
so cool.
You know, people who are donating their organs to somebody who needs
donors,
it. Organ
heroes.
donors are heroes.
So we got firefighters, police officers, paramedics, nurses, doctors, 911 operators,
Yeah.
the dispatchers, and of course organ donors. Could add to that list of heroes. Do you guys have anything else that you want to say? Who are your heroes? I have one last story about a woman hero, and she's 85 years old.
Oh, so you're right. They do get progressively older.
Older. These are not young people. These are people that are not supposed to be physically at their peak. 85.
Amen, Jackie.
This woman's name is Shirley White. She helped preserve the Montecito Heights area in Santa Rosa, California from a fire in October 2017. All right, a crash woke me up. After midnight on a very windy Sunday last October, I heard a very loud noise, and it was a large fir tree falling into my yard from the neighbor's house. If you guys are in Southern California, you know exactly what it's like to be a raging wildfire. That is a scary thing. It crushed a greenhouse and took down the tip of a power line as it landed. It's in a ball of fire here. I've been at my house almost 50 years and know how much damage wind and trees can do. But as I was coming downstairs and glanced outside, I was horrified to see brilliant flames outside my window, way up over my head. I live alone, 85, alone. My husband died 6 years ago, and I thought, I have to call 911, but there was no time. I thought, this could go everywhere. It could burn the whole hill. I threw on something over my nightgown, raced outside, grabbed a hose, and started spraying water as hard as I could. The wind had already spread the flames to a live oak and then some blackberry vines on the edge of my driveway. I was really howling now. I could feel the heat, but I just braced myself and kept on squirting. This must have gone on for 5 minutes, but it felt like an hour. An architect neighbor smelled smoke and ran over to help. Then a couple across the driveway came and someone called the fire department. When the fire trucks arrived, they yelled at us to move back, but I couldn't stop. I said, we have to keep water on this fire. She was already in that adrenaline. I had no idea I had done anything special. People I never met were knocking on my front door the next day saying, you're a hero, you saved the hill. But I was just the first responder. I saw what I saw and I took action. Thousands of people lost everything that night in other parts of California. We were fortunate to be spared. But I don't think it was a miracle. The reality is, my children weren't there and my husband wasn't there, and if I wanted to stay in the home I loved, I would have to step up. So I did. But then I got a lot of help. There's a man that says, his name's Mark. He's a neighbor of Shirley White. He says, I'm 61, and her heroism reminded me of what I already knew. It's not about age. It's about spirit. You're never too old to fight a determined fight.
You got to make sure you have that. You got to, I mean, what it boils down to is what fight is worth fighting. Man. All of them are.
Wow.
But different folks. I'm with Jackie on that. She says, Jesus is the best hero forevermore.
Amen, Jackie.
And here's why. Now, scripture of the day, 2 Corinthians 5:21. For he made him who knew no sin to be sin for us, that we might become the righteousness of God in him. So Jesus is the number one hero. But Jesus empowers other heroes. You know he does.
He sure does.
Strengthens their heart, gives them courage.
My dad is reading a book called Creating Hero Makers. It's about people in ministry making heroes of new people, not being the hero themselves.
Right.
Bringing up heroes. It's a great book. Hero Makers. It's called multiplying the ministry, not just adding to it.
Right.
It's causing new ministries to start. Creating heroes. I love it. Thanks, guys, for this amazing show and this topic.
It's been fun.
Man.
So I'd like to thank everybody for being on or for joining us on the morning drive today. We'll be back on tomorrow, same time, same channel. Be sure and tune in next for. Is it you first? Brighter Living Live. Oh, it's you first. You first. Okay, so the morning knot with Johnny Rooster, followed by Brighter Living, the soon up and coming to be called The Brighter Side, or The Bright Side, with Steve or Mickey Mac. Huh?
Silver Linings?
Yes, Silver Lining. We'll get it figured out. Thank you. So until then, my friends, God bless you and keep you. We love you. My name is Matt.
My name is Steve.
I'm Johnny Rooster.
And this has been
The Morning Drive.